This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Bruschi.
We are continuing to follow the missing Madeline Kingsbury story out of Winona, Minnesota. And this is the latest press conference that took place just a few days ago. There has not been any new updates from authorities since then, but I wanted to get everyone up to speed on this case. And here is the audio from that press conference with the authorities.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm Bonnie Bowman. I'm a public information officer for the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. The BCA is assisting the Winona Police Department in investigating the disappearance of Madeline Kingsbury. Today you'll hear from Winona Police Chief Tom Williams and Fillmore County Sheriff John DeGeorge. We will have time for some questions at the end of the news conference, but as always, I need to remind you this is a very active investigation, and as such, we are limited with what information we can share today. So with that said, I'd like to bring up the chief.
Thank you all for being here today. I'm Winona Police Chief Tom Williams. Today's large volunteer search happened because we heard from people in Winona, our surrounding neighbors, and across the state of Minnesota that they wanted to help. We are so thankful for the outpouring of support for Maddie and her family. We're having volunteers meet at 2 locations, and from there, fan out to search multiple areas. This is tough terrain, and we are grateful to the hundreds of volunteers who are taking their personal time to assist with the search. As to the investigation, I can only say that it remains very active. Our department and our law enforcement partners are working relentlessly to find Maddie and determine the circumstances surrounding her disappearance. We continue to ask people living in Fillmore, Houston, and Winona counties, walk your property if you haven't done so already. Look for signs of anything suspicious, a disturbance, or anything out of place. We are continuing to ask people in these areas to check their cameras and please save the video. And if you have any information that can lead us to Maddie or the circumstances surrounding her disappearance, please call Crime Stoppers Minnesota at 1-800-222-TIPS. Again, Crime Stoppers Minnesota at 1-800-222-TIPS, or the Winona Police Department at 507-457-6288. We remain very hopeful that we will bring Maddie back home to her family. I'll now ask Sheriff John DeGeorge from Fillmore County to step up.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John DeGeorge. I'm the Sheriff in Fillmore County. Thank you all for coming here today and helping us get the word out. We've been assisting the Winona Police Department since early on in this investigation. We've committed every available resource of the Fillmore County Sheriff's Office to finding Maddie. We've worked around the clock with Winona PD and the BCA to follow up on leads and to search any possible areas to help find Maddie. Assistance and support from our community in Fillmore County has been incredible. It's been overwhelming at times. We're utilizing that today with a large-scale search in Fillmore County, similar to what's going on in Winona. Our search involves hundreds of volunteers and professional team leaders from multiple different organizations. As the Chief indicated, it's incredibly important for people in Fillmore County to search your properties, walk your acreage, check your outbuildings, check your vehicles, walk trails, check your cameras, surveillance cameras, doorbell cameras, your trail cameras, for any indications of anything suspicious or for any sign of a dark-colored Chrysler Town & Country van that may have traveled through the area. You know your properties better than we do. If we search your property, if you give us permission, if we bring a search team, we don't know what's out of place like you do. Please check your properties for anything. We have a team of investigators ready to respond to any calls. Call us at 507-765-3874 and report anything to us that needs to be checked, and we will respond immediately. As a sheriff's office and as a community, Fillmore County is going to continue to work tirelessly with every resource around the clock to help find Maddie. Thank you.
And on behalf of the BCA, I would like to thank the people of Winona, the surrounding counties, and all across the state of Minnesota who have volunteered. We've had messages on Facebook. They've come into our messenger. We've had calls. It has been just incredible. And as an agency, it makes us even more proud to serve the state of Minnesota. So thank you to everybody who has pitched in. Anything that you can do, if you have information, again, call that Crime Stoppers number or the other numbers that you've heard today. And for now, we are ready to take some questions.
How did you narrow down which two areas that you wanted to search today? And
So in terms of the areas that we decided to search, it was really, I wouldn't say that it was narrowed down. It was given a distance that we felt was achieved to be traveled in a period of time. Again, John DeGeorge in Fillmore County has some knowledge of that area, obviously, and then Winona County. We actually are looking for a larger scale area than what we had initially looked at based on the number of individuals that came out and volunteered to help today.
is that the direction that the van traveled that you talked about earlier this week?
It's open and active. I'm sorry, I can't answer that one.
Are you any closer to finding a suspect or person of interest?
Again, it's open and active. The leads that are coming in is unbelievable. We are actually getting hundreds of them. We have a lot of information that we're trying to process right now to help do that. So it continues to be open and active.
Do you have an idea of how many volunteers came out today, this morning, to help?
I think our emergency operations director, Ben Klinger, stated that we had 400 here at Winona, and Sheriff DeGeorge, did we have a little over 300 in Rushford.
How many agencies were involved in the coordination today?
I will have to defer to Ben. How many emergency management directors did you have?
We have the entire Southeast region emergency management here. Many of the counties are represented. Minnesota Task Force 1 is here helping coordinate the search. And then numerous volunteer search and rescue fire departments, volunteer police reserves, police departments. We'll work on getting a release out once we go through all our sign-in sheets and stuff to recognize and thank everybody. I'm sure I missed some.
You may have touched on this, but as far as the terrain goes, are there any challenges with walking this? Is it pretty ideal with the weather and everything right now?
Of course, in southeastern Minnesota, as you know, we have a lot of bluff country and an awful lot of valleys, and some of those valleys are extremely steep and very difficult to walk up and down. So that's difficult. They're also somewhat difficult from aircraft capabilities. And what they can actually fly over, and their abilities to see down into these deep crevices. The weather, again, for those that are searching, it's probably good. The sun is out, it's dry conditions, it's not super hot, and it's not super cold. So I think that the volunteers that are searching are probably pretty thankful for the weather that we've got.
Can you expand at all on Maddie's partner's whereabouts during those few hours, and if and how he may be cooperating?
I'm sorry, I can't comment on that.
Can you clarify, though, on Monday, I know that it was, you walked through the timeline when the van was seen, and I thought I heard you say that he had left her home with the van around 10, and there was this window of time between 10 and 1:30 where the vehicle was seen driving around. Can you clarify that timeline? Do you know whether he got out of the van at this point, or whether he was driving, or...
Again, I'll leave it at the statement that I had left on Wednesday. It's an open and active investigation, and anything that I stated on Wednesday is the information that we knew at that time that we felt comfortable releasing.
And you did say that he had been driving at around 10, correct, on Wednesday?
If that's what I said on Wednesday, then yes.
Has he been involved in the search at all?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Do you have a message for any suspect or person of interest?
Again, we don't have a suspect or a person of interest. What we are looking for is anybody with any knowledge to please come forward and either contact the tip line or the Winona Police Department.
We've got time for one more
Has there
question.
been any change in the areas that you want people to look?
As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we've expanded our search just because of the fact that we have so many volunteers and we have the ability to cover more territory. So I think on Wednesday I did not include Houston counties, but we've added that obviously because they adjoin Winona County as well as Fillmore County.
That's all we have time for. Thank you, guys.
Your mileage are you trying to cover today? Do you have a gauge that you can give us just for how far that search is?
Thank you.
It's the 3 counties that we had mentioned earlier, and obviously it's a lot of rural acreage, and that's part of the challenge. I do want to just share with our media partners here, we will not be able to do daily updates about this case. As you can see, it's incredibly active. We have a lot of people working this. We don't want to have to take their time by doing daily updates. When we have something new, we will absolutely share it with all of you. I think most of you have my contact information. If you don't, please stay back. I can share that with you. I am a PIO for the BCA, but because Winona Police doesn't have a PIO, I'm just helping them out with this. So please feel free to contact me, but please do not expect daily updates.
This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast
with Tony Bruschi.
We're going to keep following this for you. The Madeline Kingsbury case, the mother of 2 that disappeared in Winona, Minnesota. What exactly is going on? We don't know the answers to that yet, but we're going to keep spreading awareness about it until we find out. My name's Tony Bruschi. Press subscribe so you don't miss any breaking updates or discussions on the case. Stay with us.